is from Billy Lucci, TexAgs.com. Like, the man basically knows everything that goes on at Texas A&M in every little shadow everywhere. Breaking, per multiple sources, Texas A&M set to part ways with Jimbo Fisher as early as today. Decision was reached to the recommendation of the athletic department / university president during last Thursday's Board of Regents meeting. So this is not like a reaction to a single game. Granted, it kind of feels like one to losing to Lane Kiffin for 3 years in a row. But Jimbo Fisher officially out, and I don't know. I like, do you think, I don't know, probably getting paid $70+ million not to work. Like, that's like, maybe they reached a buyout of some sort, right? Something more.
Why would he though? Why would he? Why would he?
I know.
What is Jimbo? Why? Oh yeah, fire me, and I'll walk away for 40 or 50, unless he just is so sick of the situation that he wants to walk. But if I'm him, I get all the power. Jimbo has all the power. Fire my ass.
Yeah,
$7 million.
So I mean, I would actually like to celebrate and congratulate Jimbo Fisher because he pulled off something that shouldn't be possible among human beings. I mean, I'm talking like if we look throughout all of human history, and maybe some history nerds in the chat can help us out here, but I don't know that you will have ever found someone who gets fired and then gets, whatever the time period's equivalent wealth is of $75 million. I mean, it's just all-time fucking good. Congratulations, Jimbo. You can get all the ranches now. You can finally chill. You don't have to worry about all these weird-ass Aggie people constantly on your nuts 24/7. Like, you can go live wherever the hell you want. You can provide for your family for generations. Congratulations to Jimbo Fisher. It's actually incredible for him.
Oh, it's unbelievable. But it's not just the $76 million. You and I've talked about this before, T. It's now having to possibly buy out another coach from his current contract if you go that route, and then paying him and his new staff. I mean, this is going to be $90+
$100 million.
Deal.
It's $100 million. We'll just call it an even hundo.
Yeah, this is $100 million ordeal that's taking place in College Station right now. You are eating $100 million because they're not going to just get some average coach. They're not going to go out there and get no offense, but Billy Napier. They're going to get a proven Power 5 coach. They think that they can come in there, take over a program that is littered with 4 and 5 stars, incredible facilities, resources, fan base, stadium, in the best conference. It's the perfect situation for any coach. So they're going to go out there and get someone who they believe can win and win next year. This isn't a rebuild. This is a beautiful situation for any coach. It's a dream situation.
It really is. Well,
it's unbelievable.
Okay. But therein lies the problem, Aaron, is that on paper, A&M is a dream situation, but it's almost like Stepford Wives or something. Or there's like everything on the outside looking in looks great, but then once you actually move in the neighborhood, you figure out that like everybody's fucking each other. This people's murdering and burying him in the backyard. Like, there's just like something seedy.
Or is it just Jimbo? Or was it just Jimbo?
Bro, it's been 50 years. It's been ever since Bear Bryant left them. They've always had all the elements. They've always had the buy-in. They've always had the facilities. They've always had the money. And I get that now in the NIL era, they can lean on the money even more, right? Yes. So that's impactful. But no, they haven't won a conference.
They've never had a roster like this, though. They've never had a roster as good as they've had right now. Like, that is also a missing piece.
But my point is, Bear Bryant left them in the 50s, and they just haven't won anything since. And if you look at all their peers that they would compare to, where on paper you would say, yes, they have all the advantages that this school has, they should have fallen into some conference championships somewhere along the way. Fallen into maybe even like a single. So
you think of the past couple decades, or even prior to when they joined the SEC. I mean, you were still going when Texas was rolling, when Oklahoma was rolling. Like, that's hard to kind of get. We talked about them being.
But what's the difference
younger
now?
Brother. The difference now is then you jump into the SEC, and then you got in the middle of SEC West with Nick Saban during the greatest dynasty that we've ever seen.
Yeah, well, guess what? Now it's Kirby Smart with the best dynasty you've ever seen, and it's Brian Kelly, and it's Surgeon Texas coming into the conference.
Over the past 2 decades, this is the best, most talented roster that A&M has had. And I thought you brought up a good point too. Like, they can use NIL to a major advantage for them. So I think it is different. I do think right now they're more positioned because of the landscape and what Jimbo kind of built from a roster standpoint to have success immediately.
So I want to be clear. I'm not saying you're wrong. I think you're absolutely right. But there's that's just the weird dark magic of A&M is that for some reason it just keeps going wrong. Like Jimbo Fisher should have been a
thing. I think it's a Jimbo thing. I think it's a Jimbo thing more than an A&M thing.
Okay, but also he did build this roster with all that, all that talent. Like the next guy better be able to recruit at the same level that Jimbo did. Yeah, okay. There's so many different ways we can talk about this. We can get into candidates here in a minute. First, let's kind of do a what do you call it when you look at a dead body? Like a coroner.
Autopsy?
What is it? Yes, let's do an autopsy. Thank you, Aaron. God, look at you, smart guy.
You sound so surprised that I actually knew a word. I appreciate it though.
Well, it's not very often that I'm the one searching for the the vocabulary. I tend to love it. Fuck you. You're the meathead. Okay, we all know this. You're QB1. You're just out here trying to KP Kenny Powers bang girls. Let's do an autopsy on the Jimbo era at A&M. Where did what went so wrong? Why when he put together the most talented class we've ever seen in our lives, incredible amounts of buy-in, incredible facility upgrades that again he deserves credit for because he is the figure that's giving everybody confident enough to make these moves. Why did it all go so wrong?
Well, I think for me the first thing is he made some really bad decisions at the quarterback spot. Kellen Mond was a good quarterback, good college quarterback, and that's when they had their most success. I know it was the COVID year, and you and I've we've talked about that enough of does the COVID year count or not? It was still a really good year for A&M. It
was a great year.
With 9-1, all SEC games 9-1. But then after that, he hitched his wagon to the wrong horse. He had an in-state guy. I'm drawing a blank right now, quarterback for Georgia Tech now, Haynes King, and everyone who knows the quarterback position knew that this kid just is not the right answer, and it was always kind of head scratching to me of why is Jimbo playing this guy? And the offense just fell off. I think also too, the fact that he took so long to give up those play calling duties to allow someone to evolve the offense. You couple that with, really subpar quarterback play. And then this year too, it didn't help that Connor Wegman, was injured. I still don't think that there's this massive drop from Wegman to Max Johnson at all. But it was just already the seat was already so warm that any small step backwards from a year ago or even major step backwards was going to be magnified even more. So I think, not evolving the offense, not bringing in someone soon enough to kind of take that off your plate, and then some really bad quarterback decisions over the past few years that really stalled this offense. And you were brought in to be an offensive guy. Like I always say, to me nowadays, I want to coach that win or lose, at least entertain me, at least score points, at least make it a 30, 40-point game where I walk away saying that was fun. We lost, but it was fun. If you can do both, then you might get a long-ass contract. Jimbo didn't win football games, and he didn't produce offensively consistently.
So that's where I think it gets a bit fascinating is it almost has a feeling of like a Dolphins Dante Culpepper where you got him when he was already done. You just didn't know he was done yet. You know what I'm saying? Like now we can look back and we can look at those last years at Florida State. And at the time, we kind of gave Jimbo a free pass. We said, it was more about Florida State. And he had that run where he had like EJ Manuel and it crescendoed with Jameis Winston, right? And we thought that was Jimbo making them great. And it is, it's both, right? Both sides got to work together to create greatness, create a championship. But we start to score it with the benefit of hindsight now. And you're like, well, yeah, maybe some of that, maybe like a little more of that was Jameis than we thought originally. And then you look at the fall at Florida State and you're like, well, maybe that wasn't just because Florida State, wouldn't give him resources. And you see that, wait, he actually hasn't had good offense ever since 2013. And you realize that at a certain point, the game passed Jimbo by, but the problem is, you just didn't know it at the time. And that's why they say hindsight's 2020. So to me, the entire hiring was actually when I look back on it, it was flawed from its inception. But here's what A&M's got to learn. Because here's that dumb shit. And we're going to get to the super chat, y'all. Thank you. But here's that dumb shit that it's part of the reason why I think A&M does have this weird juju. They gave this man a national championship plaque the day he got hired. What the fuck are we talking about? Is that not sports jinx 101? That is the most base level. You never ever do this, much less publicly. They did it publicly. It shows such a fundamental misunderstanding of what it takes to win a championship, and it kind of feels a little entitled.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel like the classic rich kid who's just he's like, I'm just gonna spin my way out of any problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna spin my way to excess. What was that asshole kid that that he was like drunk driving, he killed a family, then he tried to run away to Mexico. He was suffering from affluenza. That's what he tried to claim in court. Texas A&M is suffering from affluenza. They have to understand that money alone does not win championships. You have to go out there. You have to do the hard work. You got to build it from the ground up, and you got to earn it. And they obviously didn't understand that from day one with Jimbo. And what's crazy now, all money spent on a buyout comes with the opportunity cost of now you can no longer pay the players the $70 million that you're going to have to pay Jimbo, which is devastating and doubly frustrating in the NIL era.
Yeah, especially as Texas joins the SEC, and right now Texas is alone at top of the Big 12.
Yeah,
and look like the big favorite to not only win the Big 12 but possibly get into the playoff. And you're dealing, and I think that goes into part of it too. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that A&M fans are looking at this like Texas is rolling. Sarkisian has this thing going in the right direction. They have a chance to not only win their conference but be in the playoffs. And we're kind of sitting here fumbling, bumbling, can't figure out offense. Once again, not going to compete in the SEC championship. Looks like we're going to have an 8-win season. This ain't good enough. And now we have to truly compete with Texas year in and year out in this state. A change needs to be happening. And I know the $76 million is a lot of money, but when we've broken down the past, like you either bite the bullet now or do it in 2 or 3 years when it's $20 million difference. Like to these people, what's the difference of waiting 2 more years to have what you already are getting?
Yes,
to pay $55 million instead of 75. Like it's year 6. This is as good as Jimbo is going to do. You have the roster, you have the talent, you have the 4- and 5-star guys. You've accumulated enough of those guys on that team where, like I said at the beginning, you put any elite coach on that roster right now, that's a 9, 10, 11 win football team. And he just can't get it done. So like, if it's not getting done this year, it ain't going to get done in 2 years. So for that state and those boosters is really an extra $15 million just to rip the Band-Aid off now. That important? Obviously not.
That's the genius of Jimmy Sexton, right? He built this in such a way that there was never really any great financial relief on the other side. So like we talked about, what's the difference between 50 and 70? Not 2 years worth, not to them.
Not to them.
Jack Mazzell with a $5 super chat. What is more cringe, shingles or the Texas A&M Midnight Holler? Both are painful. But I don't even think first off, I like all A&M's culty shit. That's like why college football is cool. But Midnight Holler is not the weirdest thing. I just learned this season, Aaron, that after every home win, the cadets rush the field and carry the yell leaders on their shoulders to a fountain outside the stadium. They then dump the yell leaders into the fountain, who swim around and do like their movements, and all the cadets like cheer and like chant and shit.
It is so bizarre, but I'm with you in the sense of like, I love it because it's what makes college football special. Yes, like, you don't get that anywhere else.
Yes.
I would never do it. I would never want to be a part of it, but it is interesting looking at it from afar. We're like, okay, good for you guys. You're not embarrassed of the weirdness.
Brad David, $5 super chat. What's next for Jimbo? Does he retire? Go be a coordinator somewhere. I think he retires, bro. Right? For sure, dude. Go live your life. Go live your life. And plus, if he's like got to be 60 something. Yeah. So now
58 years old. 58.
Okay. Yeah. Go retire. So that's what being in Texas A&M will do to you. So here's what kind of sucks for all of us, though. None of us are A&M fans. I love Jimbo at A&M. I mean, that's a team that LSU's probably going to end up having to deal with every year when the SC goes to 9 games. Like, I loved having A&M Jimbo there because it meant that A&M sucked. I'm scared of A&M actually hitting on a great coach. So let's talk potential candidates. A lot of people in chat are saying Lanning. There's no way Lanning.
$20 million buyout from Oregon. $20 million buyout.
But not even that. Like, first, that would be so sad for Oregon. I don't know why it keeps happening to them if that did. But like, I think Dan Lanning is very much proving that he feels like he can win a championship at Oregon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that man sees
they look damn good. We'll break that game down. They look damn good last night for USC. I don't think that's a lot. I think there's a couple names that run to my mind, and we do appreciate everyone Sunday morning jumping in the chat with us. I think we got over 300 people watching now. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. Road to 8K. We are getting very close, so we appreciate y'all early Sunday morning hanging out with T-Bob and I as we do our reactions. The two top candidates that come to mind for me are, Elko, which I'll let you talk about him because I know you're more on that. But I think Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin to me is the perfect a guy that has had a lesser roster, but has beat you for 3 straight years. Like, you've gone against him. You've seen what Lane Kiffin can do, and he's won 3 straight damn years. I think the one negative is, there's something about Lane going against Nick Saban and just how that kind of throws him off. But there's still, to my mind, I look at it as there's a major roster difference between where Alabama is and where Ole Miss is. Lane should never win that football game. Now I would like to see what he looks like going against Kirby, going against Nick, with actually a roster that could compete against those guys. So he's beat you 3 times in a row. He's about to go 10-2 this season in the SEC. I think he would be my favorite, and I think you can get him a little bit more cheap when it comes to a buyout than necessarily going after a Lanning where you have to pay $20 million to get him out.
Like, I don't think Lanning's going to leave. I don't think Lanning wants. Why the fuck would Lanning leave and join the SEC when the Big Ten is going to be good but infinitely more winnable?
I agree.
In the SEC, like the rest of the Big Ten outside the Big Three are trash.
And it's not like a money difference. Oregon has a ton of money.
Yeah.
Oregon's going to get a lot of money in the new Big Ten deal. So it's not like, I got to go to the SEC to kind of keep pace if I want to win a championship. If you're a part of Big Ten or the SEC, you're going to have the resources to win a championship. So I agree. Like, I don't see the big lore unless you're looking at recruiting, leaving Oregon to go to Texas to get maybe a better roster eventually, but that's about it.
Now, I will say this. That's not to say there won't be whispers, because all the names we're about to mention are going to get paid. It is officially extension season, boys. Lock him up. Like, I don't know where Lane ends up, but I know he ends up with another raise. But and look, I agree with you that I think Lane's the
but Ole Miss can't afford it though.
No,
Ole Miss don't got the money for that.
Well, then he's going to go to A&M. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like,
who else is out there? Who else is there? I mean, you want Elko though.
Well, I don't know, because now Lane is on the verge of winning 10 games in the regular season Ole Miss twice in 3 years, something that had never been done before. And Elko's great, but I feel like A&M thinks they're better than Elko.
Yeah.
I doubt they would go after him. Deion?
No.
Too early? A year too early?
I think early. Well, I think for him, unfortunately, his son and Travis can't leave. They can't transfer again. He's not.
Okay, yeah. So he's stuck.
I think that's the number one thing. I think he would not leave because he's not going to leave.
A year too early.
Yeah, you're too early for him. Plus, I said this before. Like, I don't think Deion is much of a difference from Jimbo. Like, Deion's great at rebuilding a program, no doubt about it. Like, he can bring the energy, the juice, the excitement, bring in the recruits. A&M has all that. They got all the recruits. They got all the excitement. Like, they need an X's and O's guy now that kind of take those players to another level. And I don't think Deion necessarily is that brand of coach that would be much of that much of a bigger impact in my mind.
Do you look at what Liberty is doing right now? Look at what Coastal Carolina is doing. If you wanted a hot up and comer, would you ever give it to a Jamie Chadwell?
Nope.
Okay.
I love Jamie. But this is a roster that's built to win right now.
Well, Jamie would win right now. Jamie showed up at Liberty, and now their quarterback's like top 5 in the nation and everything, along with like Jaden Daniels.
But Hugh Freeze left Liberty in a spot they were one of the best Power 5 teams.
Yeah, but look at how bad
there was a massive roster difference between them and everyone else.
No, okay, but fair. But at Coastal Carolina, look at the success he had, and look what happened after he left to Grayson McCall and stuff.
I just think it's always a risk. Ask Florida. Look at Florida right now.
I know.
Does not want to go down that route. They do not. They have the resources to go out there and pay for a proven winner. They're not going to get someone that has not coached at this level and done it successfully.
Matt Taylor says Jeff Brom. I mean, from a success this year standpoint and what he did at Purdue, I can kind of see it, but I don't know why he'd want to leave Louisville. I mean, maybe more money or something, but
he's a Louisville guy though, correct?
Yes, very much so. He's a grad. He was a great quarterback back in the day. Him and his brother are both there. No. Any other names to jump off? I don't think they want to go to the coordinator route. I wouldn't imagine. That seems disastrous. Somebody said Lance Leipold in the chat. I feel like A&M probably thinks they're better than that. I feel like, I don't know. It just feels like they're going to want something a little sexier potentially. No, Matt, I know Brom can't win a natty at Louisville, but
you don't have to be perfect. You don't be perfect.
Somebody said for being happy.
You want to go from one, going from the perfect Colt person to a Colt, get Dabo from Clemson.
Oh, that would really show Tyler. Okay, you want me out of here, Tyler? Well, guess what? I'm going to Aggie land. That would actually be incredibly powerful combination there. The amount of belief that would
that so much juice would be in College Station with those two, head coach and fan base.
We need to get to the recap.
There's not a lot
crazy.
though to me. I mean,
I know, like candidate wise, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Like it kind of feels like Kiffin, and then like again, I don't think they are going to be excited about paying $100 million to hire Mike Elko. Even if you think he's great, like they won't humble themselves and do that. You need to hire a coach who's won national championship. They need to go hire Mac Brown. It's the only way this is going to work. He won a championship at Texas, Aaron. Bring him back to Texas. See if he can do it all over again.
Not a lot of answers.
A lot of people saying Lanning. We'll see. I didn't feel like it. Hire Brian Kelly. I agree, dude. Hire Matt House. How about that? Anybody hire Matt House, please. For the love of God, hire Matt House. Somebody, just hire him, please. His eyes are too close together. Pisses me off. All right, Urban Meyer. Okay, last one. Urban Meyer. Hell no. No, the answer is hell no.
You know who's an interesting one too? No. Do you think Dan Mullen? If you know that you're gonna be able to recruit because of all the resources they have at A&M, and like he doesn't have to really dabble in that too much, just let the powers that be bring in the players, and he kind of just does what he does.
Like Dan Mullen is one of the best X's and O's minds of all time.
Yep.
But if you look at his tenure at Florida, they fucked up the biggest moments kind of consistently, which I think may hold A&M fans back. Maybe not though. Maybe not.
It's an interesting one.
It is. No, I mean, you have to explore it. Like you kick those tires for sure.